All right. So one of the questions I get, which is a good question, is how do you track your lifting over time so that you know that you're making progress? One of the programs I use is Adaptifier. I don't make any money from selling it or anything, but I've used it for quite a while, and I've got some data in here going back to about 2011, actually. Well, the cool part about it is I can go in and track any lift that I want. Oops, unless the current PR area is not working, which it just appears to be not working right now. But if I go into a day like yesterday, and I go into a lift that I've done a fair amount that I'm working to increase, such as incline dumbbell presses, it'll go through and it'll list all the times that I've done this in my training. And across the top here, we've got one that just says resistance, sets, reps, volume, time, density, and then improvement. What's cool about this is that it tracks all of those at the same time. So when you go in and enter them here, so if I go into incline dumbbell press, and let's say I want to edit this, we can see how I actually entered it. Click on incline dumbbell press, and you can see this is what it ended up doing yesterday. So the weight here is just the weight of the individual dumbbell. So I used 60, 70 pounds yesterday, and the total number of reps I did, which accounts for both hands. And then when I go back into this, so if I add this as a training session, I can now view, as I said, my performance over time. So if I go click here, and the average resistance I used was 67 pounds. I did 4 sets, and I ended up doing 86 reps. So my total volume there is 5,762 pounds. The total time it took me to do all that, including the rest periods, was 23 minutes and 43 seconds. So from that, the volume divided by time, I can get a density. What's cool is I can then compare that over time to see where I was before. So my goal kind of going into this, too much there, was to try to get a better density overall. So did I actually do that? So my density score here, 243. Scrolling down just to compare what I've done in the past. Usually better, higher is better for density. So I did pretty good. I did one back here with a little bit lighter weight that I was able to do a little bit better density. So the other part to keep in mind too is how much average weight that you would use. So here I did 67 on average. If I compare that to what I've done in the past, here it took me 5 sets, 110 reps, and it took me 36 minutes and 34 seconds. So granted, I did a little bit less here, but did it in less time also. So if I find one that's, closer recently, I've got one here at an average weight of 69 pounds that still did a little bit more volume, but again, substantially longer time, right? So it allows you to compare a whole bunch of different scenarios. So for example, the previous day or previous time, I used an average of 60 pounds, but my goal was to do more volume than I've almost ever done before. I actually really didn't care about how long it took me to do that. I was just working to get a volume overload. So I ended up doing 7 sets, got 176 reps. The goal with that is to try to keep the quality of the reps as high as possible so that they all look pretty much the same, which gets a little bit harder towards the end of the sets, which is why I allowed myself a much longer rest time. But if I look at that total, so 10,560 in terms of total volume that was done, is there anything that's close to that for volume? And I looked at this ahead of time, so I did that session on purpose. But if I scroll back in time here, no, nothing close. I have this session here from June 11th of 2013. Now I got pretty close there, so 10,500. But if I also look at what was the average weight that I was using, so there I was using 50-pound dumbbells, and up here recently I was using, I think it was 60 pounds if I remember right. I'll go back up here and check. Yeah, 60 pounds. So that's, 10 pounds heavier per hand and still doing more volume. So I'd say that's an improvement, right? So even though the strict volume now is not necessarily better, but it was pretty close, the weight that I was lifting in order to do that was heavier. So that, I would say, is a positive. And one other thing too, if I look at just sort of more of a absolute strength number, so here I did 80-pound dumbbells for 16 reps, so 8 reps per hand, and that was higher than anything I've done for quite a while previous to that. And then if I look from June to July, so in 4 weeks, I was able to do the same thing with 85-pound dumbbells per hand. So again, moving up in the progression. And then I was also able, in the end of August, to repeat. So instead of just doing it for one set, I was able to use 80-pound dumbbells for 2 sets at the same amount of reps, right? So that also, again, adding more volume, even though I actually did a little bit less volume there actually. So probably not the best comparison, but I did a few more reps per set, right? So one set, and that would be a progression in the right direction. For example, this one, I did that for 2 sets and did more reps, right? So what you're looking at is the volume, so how much volume you do, which is composed of the sets times the reps, the resistance, and then also the density. So what you want to see is, are any one of those 3 going up over time? So if I'm able to do more volume, that's the move in the positive direction. If I'm able to do a better density, it's a move in the positive direction. If I'm able to lift a heavier load, assuming the form and rep speed is about the same for the same reps, cool, I'm still making progress. So the nice part is it allows you to go back and look over various days and see where you're at. So previous to that, wasn't quite as good. And as I mentioned, you can do that for all different exercises. So if I pull one real quick yesterday that I haven't done in some time, so I went back to doing dumbbell rows with the fat grips. So it's about a 2-inch diameter. Actually, the dumbbells at the gym are wide to begin with, so it's a little bit over that. But so yesterday I did average resistance 64 pounds, 4 sets, 108 reps, and total time of 24 minutes. So I moved about 7,000 pounds in those 24 minutes. So I can compare that to see before, because you notice these are all ones I just started doing this recently. How did I do before? So before 63, 4 sets, 94 reps, and a little bit less time. So relatively close to that, not too far off. If I scroll back a little bit more in time, so here's 60 pounds, 4 sets, 95 reps, and 5,700. So did better than that. So I'd say I'm moving probably in the positive direction. Again, I just started adding in this lift, so haven't had too much experience with it so far. If I scroll back even further in time, so here's one, 65 pounds. Took me 5 sets, and I only got 76 reps for that in almost the same time, within a few minutes. Now this one's a little bit different because the switch gyms in the meantime, so the diameter here is probably closer to 2.25 or almost 2.5 compared to a more standard 2-inch diameter here. But you get the idea. So even some lift that I haven't done in a long time, so I've done different versions of that, it's been almost a year and a half. I can still go back in time and check to see how my progress is. So that's a cool way of keeping track of your overload.